Hello, everyone. My name is Marcus Alston. I am the host of the Mindful Athletes podcast. I am joined today by Marcus Ogden. How are you doing, Marcus?
I'm doing well, Marcus. How are you, sir?
All is well, all is well. Really appreciate your time this morning. Really excited to dive in.
I appreciate it, man. Look forward to it as well.
Awesome. So we'll kick things off. Could you just provide us a quick background with your journey being a former athlete and current entrepreneur?
Yeah, my name is Marcus Ogden. I'm a former NFL athlete. I now live in the Fuquay-Varina, North Carolina area, which is a little town probably about half an hour outside of Raleigh, North Carolina. I am an inspirational national keynote speaker, executive coach, consultant. I'm a brand ambassador. I own different businesses. I help clients with some PR, media needs, get them out in front of more opportunities. I'm also the podcast host of the Get Authentic with Marques Ogden show. We are globally ranked in the top 1% most popular podcast and very fortunate to do so. But I'm also a breakthrough specialist and mentor that helps people achieve massive success and fulfillment and breakthroughs in their personal and professional lives.
Love that, Marcus. You maybe want to talk a little bit more about, your podcast, maybe some of the guests that you previously brought on, or maybe some things that you might have in the works in coming episodes?
Yeah, so the podcast started, in June of last year, June 22nd to be exact. We've interviewed some phenomenal people like Chef Robert Irvine, Rashad Sugar Evans, UFC Hall of Famer. Interviewed Travis Payne, Michael Jackson's good friend. We interviewed Damon Elliott, the son of Dionne Warwick, Amanza Smith from Selling Sunset on Netflix. But we also interviewed just everyday business leaders, entrepreneurs, corporate executives, people that are professional athletes, actors, actresses, collegiate athletes, other podcasters, right? People that are into the golf space, to sports space, like you name it. We're all about that. So we're very fortunate in that regard. And we have some great episodes coming up in the future as well, working with some pretty big names we're trying to lock down. And again, very fortunate, man, that people love our podcast, love our authentic message, our authenticity, what we're about. We're very real. We're about giving people inspiration and hope through our words and through our messaging through our podcast.
I love that, especially the fact that you're bringing on such a diverse group and wide group of individuals, from executives to collegiate athletes, professionals. I know our podcast is a little bit more niche, where we're trying to obviously raise mental health awareness in bringing on, coaches, current and former athletes, as well as any mental health providers. And this will segue into my next question for you, Marcus, is how has the mentality of an athlete transitioned into your current life as a entrepreneur and keynote speaker?
So what has happened is it's allowed us to get to the next level through understanding what people need to hear, like perseverance, resilience, grit, vulnerability, authenticity. And being a former athlete has really helped me to understand that I have skill sets that I developed while playing sports, again, mainly football, that could be utilized in business, like, again, perseverance, grit, communication, teamwork, pivoting, adapting, all these things. And once I realized what I could bring to the table from being an athlete to the corporate space, business for me got better, life for me got better. I got more focused on what it really is about, which is helping others, to bringing value to them in that regard. And it's been really, really awesome going forward to help people and see that what I've done in the past as an athlete really does help, really does work to help others achieve fulfillment and breakthroughs in their personal and or professional lives.
That's awesome. And I kind of have a similar philosophy in like my values and principles. I try to live by consistency and persistency, and I kind of relate that to sport. Constantly showing up to practice, and same within business, and also just being persistent, and knowing that being an athlete is a roller coaster, a lot of highs and lows, and I kind of relate that similar to entrepreneurship as well. And kind of segueing into our next question here, once you realized you were, struggling, how long did it take for you to seek out support as an athlete? Was this during the NFL? Was this, after you retired from the NFL? Would love to learn more.
No, for me, it was well after I retired because when I went bankrupt in 2013, I didn't know about because of the programs for help through the NFL Player Care Foundation, the new CBA in 2013. They brought in some great programs like NFL Player Care Foundation, NFL Trust, NFL Legends, NFL Alumni. And when they did that, they brought things to us like counseling or resources or credit management or money management or how to deal with crisis or challenging times. So to me, when I retired, there wasn't anything in that regard to be able to get that thing moving for me. So what I realized is that once I was able to get help in 2013 through the CBA, through the Player Care Foundation, I went after it and I got the help. And that's exactly how I didn't go homeless in 2013. The Gene Upshaw Trust Fund helped me and pay 4 months of my bills to my creditors, my rent and my cars and my light bill and my gas and my water. And as a result of that, I did not go bankrupt. I did not go homeless. So it was really a blessing. So again, right, Marcus, once I was made aware of the programs in 2013, then I went and sought help to get myself going in a better and more uplifting and positive direction.
That's awesome, and it's good to see organizations like the NFL bringing in more resources. Now they have the Hall of Fame Behavioral Health Initiative as well, which is another great resource. We're doing some work with them on some stuff in 2024. So love that. And, throughout your journey, Marcus, was there ever like a coach or, maybe a trainer or someone that maybe had helped you throughout your journey? Maybe like, you were in the NFL, maybe you had like a tough first season, and then you had someone that helped you along the way. Was there anyone like that for you?
Well, I had my brother because my brother was a 7 year vet ahead of me. So I could call him for advice. I could call him for guidance. I could call him for, just those educational moments that I needed. Also, I could call him for those kick in the ass moments that I need to kind of get myself back on track. So having a Hall of Fame left tackle brother when you're playing offensive line that has helped so many other great players become better through his coaching, his knowledge, through his play, it made it so much better for me. So I got a lot of information, a lot of encouragement, a lot of great uplifting words from my brother, which allowed me to get through challenging times, hard times, dark days, which I faced while in the National Football League, as any rookie or young player is going to face, trying to fight that uphill battle of going from collegiate athlete to professional athlete.
Is there anything that your brother did or say specifically that kind of resonated or stood out to you that you can maybe remember?
He just talked about being a rookie. It's like being at the beginning trying to learn how to crawl as a baby. And when I realized that I am doing and go through the natural process that most people go through, it made me feel not alone. And when I didn't feel alone, I worked harder. I pushed more. I got more into getting myself into the trenches, into practicing, into working on my craft. And as a result of that, I was able to really get myself and forge ahead for better days, for better times, as a result of learning how to not allow darkness or dark times to knock me off my path. Because again, right, Marcus, every athlete is going to get beat if you play long enough. And once I realized just win more than you lose and be professional and don't make the same mistake over and over again, then things for me playing in the National Football League got a lot better and a lot more enjoyable.
Yeah, I have a similar mindset with business where I've only been an entrepreneur for about 3 years now, and I kind of look back and compare entrepreneurship to my football journey. The first 3 years that I played football, I was not the best football player, and throughout time, with practice, training, I eventually got better as time progressed. And I kind of look at it similar to entrepreneurship, where it took me 15 years to win a championship in football. So I kind of, like I said, relate it to entrepreneurship, where I'm in this for the long haul. I might not reach my end goal for 10, maybe 15 years. So I can very much relate to that. And that'll kind of segue into my next question here, Marcus, is what you've had a pretty crazy journey, pretty crazy story, but I guess what was the moment that inspired you to really go out and share your story, become a keynote speaker, and do some consulting? Would love to hear your thoughts on that.
So that was after my rock bottom spoiled milk moment, taking the trash out on my shift as a custodian in downtown Raleigh. I work from 10 p.m. until 5 a.m. And when I hit that moment where somebody's trash, rotten meat, just bug infested, spoiled milk, horrible smelling garbage got all over my body, my skin, and my clothes, that was my wake up call. Say, wow, if I don't change, I'll be here for the rest of my life. So that was the moment. And I said, enough's enough. And that inspired me to get off the curb, go home, write down my three biggest strengths, and go from there and move myself into trying to turn my pain, my horrific story, into my passion and my purpose. As a result of that, great things started to happen. And now here we are 10 years later. I started speaking September 2013. Here we are
Wow.
10 years later, a decade later, with success and fulfillment and overcoming so many obstacles to get here. But if you're listening, again, like I said, notice I said a decade later. It wasn't a few months later, wasn't a year later, wasn't 2 years later. We have been speaking since September 2013, almost a decade. So if you want something of global appeal, it's going to take you 10, 20, 30, sometimes 40 years or longer to build it. If you're not willing to play the long game, don't play the game at all.
Well said. Couldn't have said it better. Myself, Marcus. Love that. And yeah, so we only have a couple more questions here. I guess let me ask you this, kind of going back to when you had like your trash moment, essentially. Do you remember like your first, once you wrote down those three goals, do you remember what that like first like kind of big opportunity or like speaking engagement was for you?
Yeah, my very first big major one was for NetApp. My good friend Dave Nisvinsky worked for NetApp. I trained both his sons in football. Dave hired me to speak for him in Chicago at their CXO dinner at Mike Ditka's Steakhouse in downtown Chicago in 2000, late 2014, early 2015. And non-paid, but that was my first Fortune 500 client that I ever gotten. And so as a result, that job helped to catapult us years later, of course, to where we are today. But yeah, Dave Nisbisky and NetApp are definitely my very first major speaking job.
That's awesome. And you keep referring, a decade, and it just really shows you that all great things really take time. And this is our last question here, Marcus. What was one piece of advice you would give a younger athlete, maybe in high school, who may be struggling with their mental health or maybe their identity? What would you say to them?
So I would say this: learn how to go and ask questions. When you go and ask questions, then you can figure out what it takes to get the solutions, and learn how to open your mouth and ask for guidance, ask for help. It's not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of strength. So you know what? I don't know this. How can I get better at this? Ask your coaches. That's what they're there for.
That's awesome. And we'll leave it at that, everyone. I really appreciate Marcus and everything he's been doing for our foundation. He's an advisor for Alston for Athletes, has really helped me out as I kind of figure things out with Alston for Athletes, continue to develop and grow. He's also helping us out with the podcast as well. So just really greatly appreciate Marcus, his story. So thanks again, Marcus, for joining us. And did you have any last comments, or maybe want to drop in your social media pages or anything like that?
Yeah, people can find us through our website, www.marcus, MARQUES, Ogden, OGDEN.com. Go to our new app that's on Apple and or Android phones. Go to your app store and type in Marcus Ogden, MARQUES, OGDEN. And you can also go to Marcus360.com. That's our link that goes to our websites, our socials, our podcasts, our blogs, our testimonials. Again, Marcus360.com.
Awesome. That's where you can find Marcus, everyone. Really appreciate your time again, Marcus. And this is your host of Mindful Athletes, Marcus Alston, signing out. Tune in next week where we have a conversation with Leanne Passero with The Hidden Opponent. Take care, everyone.